We're going to be talking about some elements of philosophy, some esoteric principles, some notions of reality. But before we do any of that, we really have to talk about how do you know what's real? What's your premise, even before you open your mouth to speak about something and distinguish something in life? What's the premise behind that? What's the presupposition of life? Is life good? Is life bad? Is life spiritual? Is it God-given? Is it Darwinism? You know, what is life? And who are we as well? Who are you as a human being before you even speak? So I think we have to distinguish who I am as a human being before I speak. And to do that, we could start with the two fundamentally opposite notions of reality and the creation of life. And the one is the Darwinism, which is from the bottom up. It's the very material aspect of us as animals. And the notion of that would go that there was a very hot planet, probably from a big bang or something like that. This planet cooled, the minerals became obvious, the water came onto the surface of the earth, and from that we have then vegetation, single-cell beings, then multiple cell beings, and eventually animals. And that the notion would be that we are the top of the chain of the animals. And that reality does have some credibility. If you look at the human body, for instance, the human body has those minerals inside it, has the vegetation, and it has the animal side of who we are as well. The very bones inside your body are minerals. The nervous system that we all have is a vegetable in essence. It's even called, sometimes forget the scientific term, a veggie something or other. And if you look at it very carefully, it looks like a plant formation or a tree formation inside the body. And then we have the flesh and the blood, which is the animal side of who we are. So really we have the whole of this development of the planet as we have it so far, and all the things which are in it are inside our body. And as Hermes said, as above, so below, as below, so above. And when you look at the percentage of the water on the planet, it's incredibly similar to the percentage of water and mass inside a human body. And that water is salty to the taste as well, which is interesting. And I think Darwin, when he was doing his research, he didn't really mean to conclude that we were just totally an evolving being, an animal as it were, and now we've come to the place where we're the top of the tree of animals. I don't think he meant that to be absolutely what the conclusion was, but he did a lot of research, and that's kind of where a lot of people have got to in terms of their thinking about who we are. So that we are in fact very, very well developed animals. And then we have, on the other side of it, we have the creationists. And the creationists would say that it's from the top downwards, that an entity, sometimes that's nameless, or it could be God, Allah, and various other names. And in the Hindu religion, there's thousands and thousands of gods. And even if it's not the word God, which is sometimes unmentionable, it's a force, and it's a creative force, which has made the planet happen and made us happen and created us basically. And again, there is a lot of credibility for that as well, because even most people who understand, or very down-to-earth people, let's say, very materialistic people, even those people would say, yeah, but there's probably something else. Yes, we are animals on a planet, but there's something else, isn't there? We don't know what, there's no name for it, but we believe there's something else. And with the creationists, you have to look at the fact that as humans, not just animals, but humans, which if you translate that way back through language into its birth of its creation of the word means light being, hu meaning light, and man originally meant being. It didn't mean man with a hairy chest or something like that. Man meant beings. So these humans are not exactly the same as the rest of everything else on this planet. We have this amazing ability to choose and have choice, which nothing else on the planet can do. When you think of a bird or even a dolphin or a whale or a plant, they don't have choice. They have options, for sure. So they've got a series of options, and of course they are developing. You could say it's creative. They are creative because they adapt. And in Darwin's theory, the strongest survive and the most adaptable survive. So adaptation, though, isn't choice. It's a kind of an option. So shall I have webbed feet, or shall I have, toes, or nothing? Shall I have a tail, as it were? What humans have got is the ability to, if there was nothing else on this planet and they had an idea, to manifest that idea into reality, into a material form. And nothing else can do that, which is quite amazing. So in other words, we have, in the Bible it says that God made man in his own image. Now, of course, if you look at that on a really materialistic level, we would have beards and we'd sit on a cloud, or whatever that representation of God might be. But if you look at it on more of an abstract level, then inside us all we have this creative ability. So if God, in essence, that bird wants to talk to us, doesn't it? Let's listen to that for a second. All right. If God is creative in essence, and we are creative in essence, then we have that tendency. I'm not saying that we are God by any means, but that we are created in that image of being able to choose and be abundant and makes things happen outside of the realms of the rest of this planet. And I know a lot of you who are listening to this, some of you will feel like you're a little alien here. You feel a little alien here. And I feel a little alien here. That you don't feel like you kind of fit. And it's kind of true, isn't it? We kind of inhabit this planet, but we don't really fit in with the cycles of it. Like everything else around me right now is conforming completely to the cycles, and it's all in harmony and has the integrity, but we don't seem to have the integrity. And by integrity I don't mean we're good moral people. I mean that everything fits together holistically. We don't appear to fit in here holistically. Now we have animal tendencies, like animal tendencies are territory, competitiveness, and all those things. Yeah, we have those. But all the animals here and everything else, they fight with each other, but that fight fits into a harmony, and that harmony creates the whole thing happening and evolving and revolving. Whereas we seem to inhabit this planet, but don't seem to be of it, and that our bodies don't conform to it either. Our cycles don't conform to it. And a lot of people say, well, that's because we're bad people, or we don't do things right, or whatever. But animals don't even have to think whether they're good or they're bad or not. They just do things in harmony with everything else. So I'm going to put something forward here, because in terms of the Darwinists as well, from the bottom up, if we were just animals, and we were evolving animals, and we've evolved to what we've got now, these frontal lobes, choice-making beings, creative. If we were just that, then why aren't any other animals evolving and developing towards what we are? Did we just eat some mushrooms or something one day, and that happened? Or someone said that some psychedelic spores came down from another planet and we saw the light, as it were. If that's true, we're just evolving beings, so why aren't monkeys? If we came from monkeys, which was put forward as the premise, why aren't monkeys then evolving? Now, they're very clever, and they can do things, and they can use tools and learn stuff, but a lot of animals can do that. Dolphins, extremely intelligent, but even a dolphin can't create something out of its own box, as it were. It can't think of an idea and then do it. It just goes with whatever's happening. They can enjoy themselves as well, have fun, have that aspect, but they're not creative beings. So on that side of it, I don't think we're just animals. On the creationist side of it, we definitely have a lot of animal tendencies. So we're not just God-given beings, as it were. So I'm going to put forward a premise that we are both in one body. Embodied, we are both in one body. We are from the bottom up and we are from the top down as well, because we do have an evolving animal body for sure, and we do have inside that body, inhabiting it, let's say in the energy of it or in the very fabric woven into it, however you want to say that, through the nervous system as well, connecting to, let's say, creative forces. We have an abundant creative choice-making being inside of us. The energy of that is creative in essence. So the two inhabiting one body, one and the same, embodied. So I'm saying that both are absolutely true. That you and I, yes, we are competitive, yes, we are, in a way, we're defined by our physical nature, the material nature of it. And inside that, we're not defined by it. I mean, some of us can do such things as astral traveling, where we can leave our bodies and go and have an existence somewhere else, and which is just as real. I mean, and shamans as well. Shamans, when they're performing their art, they will go to a separate reality. If you've read any of the Castaneda books, it's a journey from this material world to a completely different realm, in a different field. So before I even talk about anything I'm going to talk about in terms of philosophy of life, that's where I'm coming from in terms of who we are as human beings. Who are we as human beings? Developing ourselves. And the other thing about the animal kingdom is the animal kingdom doesn't go further than it needs to, generally. Or I think ever, really. So for us as human beings, we'll do something like climb a mountain, get to the peak, and then go and do it again for absolutely no reason, apart from we want the reflection to develop and develop our nervous system further. If we were an animal, just an animal, and we're competitive, once we got to the top of the tree, we'd stop there. Now, I know there's some people in business who don't actually stop ever, even when they're at the top of the tree. They want more and more and more, but that is very animal tendencies. But in terms of generally, we would stop once we got what we needed, once we got the sex we needed, the food we needed, the procreation, sex, the money that was concurrent with our physical existence. We wouldn't do it anymore, but we don't. We strive for a reflection, and from that reflection we develop. We develop not only just the body, but the spirit or the creative being, the abundant being that's inside of us as well, that has no limits at all. And there is that fight, in a way, that fight between the two of us that inhabit the same being, because the spirit or the energy, as it were, is a creative energy, and it doesn't want to be bounded. It is unbounded in its essence, and it wants to be free. Then you've got a physical boundary here that stops it being free, that gives it a challenge to, here's a situation, how can you be free in this situation? Here's another situation, here's your family, how can you be free and have your authentic free expression, your spirit be free, as it were, inside your family, or inside the workplace, or as a presenter, or any of those things. And I think that is the major fight on the planet. It's not a fight between the Russians, the Americans, and the Chinese, and the English, or whoever. It's a fight between the freedom that we want inside ourselves and the bounded animal body which restricts that freedom as well.